today. Since 2012, the DAAD has supported hundreds of cooperation projects between Tunisian and German universities, and of course also between German universities and universities in the Maghreb region, meaning Morocco, Algeria, and Libya. And this all within the framework of the German-Arab Transformation Partnership. Now it's time to embark on something new. Last week we have announced the call. Oh, we have a little sound problem. No, it's better. So last week we have announced the call of the new DAAD program. The program is funded by the German Foreign Office, as was the Transformation Partnership Program. This DAAD program further develops the content of the Transformation Partnership and at the same time adds new aspects to it, and we will learn about that later. Today, we would like to present you the details of the DAAD partnership and its manifold opportunities for successful cooperation. You may discuss these options with your friends and partners at German universities to check if you would like to hand in an application. In preparation of today's event, we have asked you for your personal data and your fields of interest, and we will make this data available to potential German partners, German universities, which will take part in another information session later this month, which will be designed for German universities. So this may hopefully contribute to further matchmaking activities between you and potential partners in Germany. In addition, I've seen the list of the participants, and I know that some of you already have partners with whom you have worked for quite a while, and you may be interested to contact them again. So those among you who do not come from a Tunisian university, but from another country in the Maghreb, are of course also welcome. As I've already said, there are several target countries in the new DAAD program. Tunisia is one of the main target countries, but there are additional options for our neighbors in Algeria, in Morocco, and in Libya. So after the presentation, we will have a question and answer session, and you can use the chat to ask already your questions during the presentation or after the presentation as you like. And I would now like to hand over to my dear colleague Felix in Bonn, who will go with you into the details of the new program. I wish you an interesting information session, and please, Felix, go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the introduction, Renate. Good morning, everyone, also from my side. Even though we all have gotten used to this sort of communication over the course of the last 2-3 years, I suppose, it still feels weird just talking to a screen where I don't see much else besides Renate and myself in this presentation. But I've been told early this morning that there's close to 170 participants at least who've signed up. I don't know whether 170 are here, but still I welcome each and every one of you, and I hope that this next hour will be of worth also for you. My name is Felix, and Felix Wagenfeld. I'm the head of section that is responsible for this new DAAD program, and I would like to take you on a brief tour through the context of the program, its name, its general objectives, but also and in particular on the 3 program lines that we've designed and that we've come up with, and that are sort of in line with what Renate has just said, what we have funded in the last 10 years in the context of the Transformation Partnership. What I will not do, even though, yes, I will go into a bit more detail, but I will not go into the very details of each and every call, speaking about lump sums or speaking about the height of subsidy rates, etc. If there's questions with that regard, please put them in the chat so that we know that you have that question, that we can respond to that afterwards. We will make this presentation available, as Renate has said. And for us, it's always helpful to understand and to see what sort of questions come up. I will try to answer every question that you have, but when it goes into the very details, we might come back to you after the session, after this workshop, so we can respond to that in particular. Well, I will move on my presentation. That's what I wanted to do. Well, this is the schedule, fairly easy, 1 hour, welcome, presentation, question, answers, and let me start with the framework and the program lines. Number 1, and that is relevant to understand, and Renate Dietrich has mentioned this earlier. we receive funding as well. The German Academic Exchange Service receives its funding primarily from the German government, and in particular from the German Federal Foreign Office. So this program, TASIS, is not solely a DAAD endeavor. It is, in fact, a program that's been set up by the German Federal Foreign Office to guideline the German government's activities in the MENA region. And part of that is happening in the political realm, and part of that is happening in the scientific realm. And of course, the second track is the one that we're interested in. In general, the Federal Foreign Office is interested in aiming to tangible contributions to democracy building, to strengthening reform processes in the MENA region, strengthening civil society engagement in the MENA region, strengthening the rule of law. Very high-flying, general, but still obviously important objectives. But everyone also at the Federal Foreign Office and at DAAD understands that with scientific cooperation, we might be able to contribute to a certain degree, but that an academic relationship that lasts for maybe a year or something like that, or a project that is designing new curricula, can only be a small stone in the wall of democracy building if someone wishes to go that way. The focus of the program, of the TASIS program, is primarily on 4 countries. Tunisia is one of them. The other 3 are Lebanon, Iraq, and Sudan. But in the context of our academic TASIS partnership program, there's also cooperations possible with institutions in Egypt, in Algeria, in Yemen, in Jordan, in Libya, and in Morocco. So all countries, most countries in Northern Africa are also included in this call. For you to have a general understanding of what the Federal Foreign Office is aiming for, also in the political track, this is just a few words that you can keep in mind, but they are not central to what it is that we in the scientific cooperation do. That is directly supporting democratization and reform processes through, for example, encouraging civil society discourse on anti-corruption activities, for example. That is on incentivizing investigative journalism, for example. That is, for example, on supporting legal reforms. And you can already see from what I'm saying here is science might make a contribution to all of that, but the key players here are other actors, such as political foundations, are NGOs, or also development policy actors, such as the German GIZ, for example. The second pillar, the reason why we are here today, is the scientific partnerships. And that pillar will also, to a certain degree, somehow have to adhere to those overarching goals of the program, but is doing so a bit more, let's say, focused on what it is that scientific actors can really contribute. What we aim for in our program is, or what does that mean for the activities in the scientific TASIS partnership realm? On one hand, we are, or on the level of long-term objectives, not on one hand, on the level of long-term objectives, we are focusing on 2 issues which are relevant to the overall program, but also have a particular relevance in the academic sphere. That is supporting and strengthening reform efforts in higher education sectors and in the societies at large of our partner countries. But that is, of course, and that makes sense when we work in the academic sphere, when we support, as DAAD, support the cooperation of German institutions, higher education institutions, with, for example, Tunisian higher education institutions, we can ideally make a better impact in the academic sphere, in the higher education sector, and less so on the general societal sector. Still, something that is really relevant to us also in our programs is strengthening academic freedom as much as we can do. And we understand that in many of our partner countries in the region, this is a delicate topic, something where someone always has to sort of reassure him or herself what is possible in cooperation with our partners, and where do we put our focus on. Something that is key to the entire program, to the TASIS program, is the involvement of non-university actors. They can be from academia and research, from non-university research organizations, for example. They can be from the public sector, from politics, from administration, from state-owned enterprises. They can be from the business community. private companies or industrial enterprises, and they can be from the civil society, NGOs or associations, foundations. That is something that the entire program is very interested in. It is not always a must, but something that is always very, well, we like to see, we like to receive applications where there's involvement of also non-university actors. This is not to say that all of them always have to be involved. In many partnerships, it might make sense to involve local employers, for example, when you aim for making curricula more employability oriented, and it doesn't mean that all of those non-university actors always have to be included. In all program lines, something that is also of interest not only to the German not only to the German higher education sector, but also to the German government, is the inclusion and the participation of women, of diversity, the increase not only of participation of those target groups, but also the increase of the practical orientation of study programs and those activities that universities are offering in your home countries in order to improve the employability of the participants. So what does this mean in particular? What program lines do we offer? We offer 3 program lines, and I think you have seen the general outline earlier that you received with the invitation. Number 1 is the TASIS short-term measures. In German, that is Kurzmaßnahmen. This program is our, well, let's say, nice and easy tool to initiate, to intensify, to expand and consolidate cooperation activities, short or easy, because there's funding involved for a maximum of 12 months. And funding is available for a maximum amount of 40,000 euro per year. That is more or less per activity. Activities can include something like summer schools, they can include short-term exchange of researchers, they can include fact-finding missions, or conferences, for example. So that it's not necessarily a sequence of multiple activities, but it focuses on in many cases, not all of them, not necessarily so, but in many cases on one activity, such as a conference, for example. Because it is focusing on rather short activities, those partnerships that we support in the context of the short-term measures do of course need proper preparation, but not as intense as multiple year cooperations. This also means that partners can react rather short-handed or also very flexible to what is happening. What are themes that you might want to pick up? What are activities that you wish to engage in and that are based in recent, be it political or scientifically oriented activities or happenings? They do not have to rely on a long-term partnership. That is to say, this is also a tool where new partners can, get to know each other, where they can engage and, find together to see, is there a common thread, a common idea, a common field of activities that you would like to engage in also in future activities, for example? Would you like to first, start with a short-term measure, and then a year later, you might want to apply for a longer-term partnership that is being funded by DAAD? This could be your tool. This could be your way to, start engaging. There will be multiple calls for application. One of them is already out right now, but there will be new calls for applications twice every year, 2 more calls in 23, 2 more in 24, and 2 more in 25. So, with those short-term measures, there still is a lot of possibilities for you to engage in the next and upcoming years. Number 2, second program line are the scientific collaborations. Again, in German, it's Wissenschaftskooperationen. They aim in a fairly similar direction as the short-term measures, establishing, expanding academic cooperation structures, strengthening the quality of teaching, of research, of higher education management. But these scientific collaborations, they are longer. You will recall that the short-term measures are a maximum amount of 12 months. Some of them are even only 3 or 4 months maybe, but they last from March 23 until December 25, and they also receive substantially more funding, that is up to 125,000 euro every year of the partnership. So a maximum amount of 375,000 euro for a partnership spanning from 23 to 25. But because we invest more money, because you have more time that you invest in this partnership, there's also a stronger impact expected. The impact of one conference can only be a small one. The impact of a partnership that is, over and over again active in a number of activities, from scientific exchange to conferences to internships to summer schools to whatever it is that you wish to do and that is feasible in the context of this program. With all of that, we do expect a stronger impact on the science systems of those of the partners that are involved here. And because they take longer, because more money is invested, these projects also need to build on more established partnerships. Here we wish to receive applications from partners that have an idea of what they can expect from the other side. We wish to receive applications from partners who are aware of the strengths of their partners and how a partnership of 2 or 3 or 5, even more partners can ideally sort of, bring different blocks to the same partnership and complement each other. Those partnerships can be either in the field of teaching, they can be in the field of research, or they can be in the field of higher education management. Or they can combine all of that. So that is entirely left to the university partners. That is nothing where we wish to tell you what it is that you have to do. We wish to give you the context. We wish to give you sort of the guidelines in which you can then do what it is that you wish to do with your German partners. You can focus on each of the 3 fields, or you can bring that together. In practice, we believe that in particular the combination of teaching, research, bringing that together can be very handy and actually is what universities do in real life every day, and that we wish to not separate those different spheres, as they are no different spheres. To give you a few ideas on what could be topics of this program line, that could be on, for example, improving the transfer of knowledge from research to teaching or to society. It can be on setting up new curricula to make them more employability oriented. It can be on building or strengthening management capacities at your home universities or at your German partner universities. It can be on strengthening the inclusion of women in certain study programs, for example. It can be on, whatever it is, basically. With those 3 lines of teaching, research, and higher education management, we believe that the context is rather wide, and that most of the ideas that university partners can come up with, can be catered to in the context of this program. Here, the involvement of non-university actors is, as I've said earlier, is sincerely welcomed and encouraged. It is not, say, necessary, but rest aware that when it comes to the question of, making a decision which program or which project receives funding and which cannot be funded, preference will be given to those who include non-university actors of whatever color. The third program line, the TAAD networks, is a bit different here, and I will elaborate a bit more and provide you a bit more of the background thoughts that we had when setting up this program line. And I hope you excuse me going into that for 2-3 minutes. Here is no focus on teaching or higher education management as such. Research might be included, yes. But in a nutshell, what these networks are about are the questions: how can science contribute to tackling societal challenges? How can science, the public sector, industry, NGOs cooperate more successfully for a societal benefit? Here, the idea of science communication, of science engaging, interacting, working together with all the other spheres of a society is key to the networks. Science has a hard stance these days in many countries in the world. In Germany, yes, in lots of European countries, but also in lots of countries, be it in your region, in Africa, wherever. generally saying scientific work is in many cases perceived as being not entirely aligned with what are the real problems of society. In some cases, science is even perceived as being detached from real life problems and challenges. We believe that this is not true, and we believe that science is a key part in a society to make society a better place, to make our societies, our home countries, a better place. Science generates solutions for everyday life. Science generates benefits for everyday life in our society in multiple ways, creating new knowledge, bringing education to the next generations, increasing the quality of our lives, working in fields such as health, foods, water, nutrition, energy, obviously a topic, food security is a topic, communication technologies. And science can be the basis for many, many positive developments. And I believe all of those who are here today believe in the positive power of science. And we believe that decision makers, be it in politics, be it in the industry, be it in the civil society, that decision makers in those fields should listen to science and should look at scientific results, because we believe in most cases those are the facts, those are objective results to make informed decisions. However, and this is the other side of the coin, science also must respond to societal needs, to global challenges, to what is happening on site. Universities, higher education organizations are not in the, well, the picture of the ivory tower, something that all of us have heard many times over the course of the last years and decades. But science is an integral part of society, and science should cater to the needs of society. Science must not detach itself from the needs of the people. And trying to summarize this and then bringing it back to the TASIS networks is governments and citizens, that is number one, alike must understand the language of science and must become scientifically literated. Public understanding of what it is that is actually taking what's going on in research and in teaching institutions like our universities. The engagement with science and citizen participation are key to this part. But number two, scientists must also understand the problems that policymakers face, the hard choices that they have to make every day. Science makers or scientists also need to understand what the problems the private sector encounters in their day-to-day life, so to speak, and what civil society deals with also on a daily basis. And we and our science partners must try to make the results of our research more relevant and comprehensible to society. And this is where the TASIS networks come into play. It is this communication work, this bringing together the different partners of our societies together to work with them, to work with each other, and to engage all of those partners in professional networks. Those networks can unfold across a variety of, or across a number of countries in the region. So they must not only be between partners, for example, only in Tunisia, but such a network, this is our idea, can also include partners from Morocco, from Libya, from Algeria, from Egypt, from any other TASIS partner country, to build those networks and to integrate partners from the scientific sphere and also from the non-university sphere, from civil society, business, from the public sector, and together create and develop strategies to demonstrate how science in general and how those disciplines that this network engages in can contribute to reforms and to processes in the countries and systems of the region and in Germany, and how that can change life of people for a better in a variety of fields. That can be in social sciences, that can be in technical subjects, that can be in natural sciences, through exchange, through networking, through communication, through knowledge transfer. That is the idea behind those networks. The first two, the short measures, and the scientific the collaborations, they are very close to what had already happened in the last 10 years in the transformation partnership. Those networks are a new approach of bringing together the relevant actors of society to work jointly together for better good of a society. Last slide, technical information. I think most of you will be aware of that, but this is relevant to state again also from my side. It is only German higher education or research institutions that are eligible to apply for TASI's funding. We are German organizations. We work with German taxpayers' money. We work with and for German universities and higher education institutions. Hence, a German partner always has to be included. We provide then funding to the German partner, and the German partner can, of course, also provide funding then to their foreign partners in Tunisia, in this case, for example. Also, applications that we receive should be drafted and designed in very close cooperation with partners from the target region and target countries. Number two, the call for application can be accessed on DAAD's website, DAAD headquarters website, but also on the website of DAAD Tunis office website. I can show you if you're interested in just a minute. As for now, information is available only in German. I know that this is sort of cutting off a number of you, but all relevant documentation, the call for applications, all of that will be put out in English also within the next weeks. The application also includes a detailed description of the specific goals. That is to say, it will not be enough to just say, we wish to set up a conference, we wish to set up a set of exchange activities, we wish to do a summer schools or the like, but we wish to hear and understand from you what is it that you're going for? What are the goals? What are the objectives of your partnership? And just saying we wish to exchange will not be enough. You will have to demonstrate to us how that exchange, how a particular conference, how the activities of a partnership will contribute to the objectives of the TASI's program in general. Plus, you will also have to indicate to us how are you going to measure this? How do you want to make sure that what it is that you do is contributing to the goals and the objectives that you've set yourself? Last but not least, DAAD's claim is change by exchange. We focus on the exchange, we focus on the mobility. We provide funding for traveling, we provide funding for the stays in Germany or in Tunisia in this case. We also provide funding for material resources and staff. That is always project oriented. We do not provide funding for permanent staff or for research staff, for example, or for management staff. In general, it always has to be project related, and we do not provide funding for large-scale equipment. Of course, something like a computer or a book can be purchased in the context of the project, but funding will not be made available for, stuffing laboratories, for example. And that's it from my side. I can see that a number of questions have popped in. I have not yet paid attention to that, but focus on the presentation. But this is what we have the next 30 minutes for, answering your questions, trying to answer the question that you've come up with. And with that, I would like to thank you very much for now, but we'll be with you for another 30 minutes roundabout.
Okay, thank you so much, Felix. So we are now in the Q&A session, and we have already seen a number of questions. And my dear colleague here in the Tunis office, Saha Najah, will take care of your questions. So please, Saha, what are the questions that we have already received, and what are the answers?
Okay, thank you, Renate. Thank you, Felix. Welcome from my side also. So we have already received a couple of questions, and I invite all attendees to write your questions, to continue to write your questions. So first question, Felix, how can we apply?
As I've said earlier, the application will have to be handed in by your German partner. It is only German universities or higher education institutions that can hand in an application. German universities and German research institutions that can hand in an application to the DAAD website. It will not be possible for only, so to speak, a foreign university to hand in an application without a German partner. It always has to be that partnership. We do see that there are tons of really good ideas that come from foreign university and who might not have a German partner. And in some cases, we would like to provide funding, but that is not the way the DAAD works. You need a German partner. We will try to also speak to as many German universities as possible over the course of the next weeks to also sort of, get them online to hand in an application with their foreign partners, but it will have to be the Germans.
Okay, next question. Where can we find details about submission and costs?
On the website. I don't know when the timing is right. I also look at you, Sola or Renate, when we can show you on the website. Should I do that right now, just to show you where the website information can be found at? Give me a second. So. Give me a second. I'll have to somehow get out of this presentation. Well, here we go. Can you see the website?
But now.
You can see the website? All right. This is the
Yes.
website of, DAAD Tunis. And if you scroll down, further down, further down, further down, here you see the point University Cooperation. You click on University Cooperation, and down here, Find Programs. You click on Find Programs, and you will be redirected instantaneously to the website of DAAD headquarters. Hence, everything will be in German. This is the point that I mentioned earlier, where some of you might get lost, but down here you see the partnerships. Up here, for those of you who are German speaking, you can see all of the programs that are open for applications right now, and 3 of them are our TASIS partnerships. You can click on them, and again, description in German, as I've said earlier, main target partners are our German universities, and down here are all documents that are relevant for this call, and the majority of those documents will be made available in English at short time. Hence, all of the information that you might have had to skip until here, because it is in German, all of the relevant information that you will need will be down here in English. And this is where you can also find information on particularities of funding, application deadlines, what documents will have to be handed in, funding of what particular activities or items is possible and what is not possible. I hope that helped.
Yes? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. So next question. Is there any specific topic or domain set as a priority?
No, it is not. We are open for every discipline that wishes to apply, as long as the objectives, as I tried to describe in my presentation, are taken into account. Then it doesn't matter whether it's from the humanities or from the social sciences or from biology or from the fine arts. We're open for every discipline.
Okay, excellent. Then, when will be the deadline for application? You've already said it, but maybe we can repeat it.
Of course. For the short-term measures, it will be 30th of November. That is another 7 weeks almost. And for the TASIS scientific collaboration or corporations and the networks, it is 1 week later, the 8th of December. So almost 2 months' time.
Okay.
2 months might sound like a good amount of time, but then again, once you start diving into the details of an application, you will need those 2 months.
Good. Then, concerning the second program, how many partners could participate within a country? So university and civil society, and how many partners from the MENA region?
We're open. We have no sort of ceiling when it comes to number of partners. The majority of the partnerships that we're funding are actually bilateral partnerships. That is to say, German university and, for example, a university from Tunisia. Then again, we're very open for 3-way, 4-way, 5-way partnerships. In particular, when it comes to including non-university actors. You will have to demonstrate why the inclusion of each and every partner is meaningful and makes a relevant contribution to the project, because everyone understands that including more and more partners might look well on the surface, but then again makes the management of partners or partnerships more delicate and more complicated at times. We do like to see partnership applications with more than only 2 or 3 actors involved, but you will have to demonstrate to us why this is a good idea to include all of those actors.
Thank you, Felix. Next question from Ramzi. Only German universities can assure project coordination, even if Tunisian teams present the original idea?
As I've said, I think part of my answer is yes. That is, yes, it will have to be, as I said earlier, the German university that hands in the application. This does not mean that it is only the German partner who writes the application. In fact, we do welcome everyone to find together to jointly draft the application. Even if the original idea might come from the Tunisian partner, I'm certain that German partners will also chip in thoughts and ideas and experience that they would like to see included in such an application. Application can also be in English, no problem. In fact, that is something that we do welcome as well, because we understand that when it is being drafted in English, it gives the partner from Tunisia the opportunity to also, bring in whatever that it is, whether it is the initial idea or whether it is experience of the last decade or so of cooperation. If it's only German, fine and well enough. But still, in fact, we do like to see and understand where the contribution also from the foreign university comes in.
Good. Then, can you help us to find a German partner?
More or less. We do understand that this is a challenge for a number of you. We will have a similar session like the one that we're having right now, right here for you, early next week, actually in 7 days, next Monday, for German universities. And what we will do is, it's been mentioned earlier, we will make available to the German university partners, or the German universities that are interested and who are participating in this information session next week, we will provide them with a list of participants who participated in this meeting here right now. And that is why we also asked you to not only sign up with your name and address, and that's it, but also with, where you come from, what field you're working, what you're interested in, to give that a bit more substance. Apart from that, we will not be in a position to sort of navigate you through the landscape of German higher education institutions and find the ideal partner. I believe there's 2 or 3 more ways, and I do encourage you to speak to your colleagues at Tunis office about this, that might be helpful to establish collaborations. Just a few keywords. Check your students and in particular your researchers, your teaching colleagues who might already have relations to a German partner. be that from a conference, be that from a joint paper, be that from a project, whatever. Tapping those contacts first usually is more helpful than sending an email to the rector of a German conference and saying, hello, we are ABC and wish to collaborate. I cannot promise, but I believe there's a good chance that that email will not be responded to. So try to go channels through people that you know or that colleagues of you know.
Good. Thank you, Felix. Next question from Hussein. It's about scientific collaboration. Does this program involve non-Tunisian students who are studying at a Tunisian university?
That is possible, yes.
Okay. Then what do you mean by not permanent staff?
That is to say, we are providing funding for staff that is project related in his or her day-to-day activities. If you organize such a partnership over the course of 3 years, there's lots of administrative activities that need to be taken care of. That is getting money from DAAD, spending money from DAAD, for example. That is reporting to DAAD, that is organizing conferences, that is organizing summer schools, that is constant communication, bringing together the partners through, I don't know, steering committee meetings, that kind of thing. So that work for us obviously is project related, and we provide money to fund that person. With non-permanent staff, with permanent staff, I mean, you cannot receive funding from DAAD because you have a funding gap at other parts of your university. So that is to say, even though we might understand that you need this or that research or this or that management position or someone working in the office of the dean, we cannot provide funding for those people who have no relation whatsoever to the particular project. I hope that is clear.
Okay. Next question. Is funding managed 100% by the German institution?
Well, partially. Well, formally, yes. In reality, only partially. It is the German university that we sign a contract with. Hence, the German university is 100% managing the funding and is also responsible 100% for making sure that funding is spent appropriately and according to the rules of German government. However, everyone understands that if there is an activity taking place in a partner country, in this case in Tunisia, for example, a conference or whatever, then funding needs also to be made available to the Tunisian partner because not everything can be managed from Germany just as well. For that, the two partners, the German university and the Tunisian partners, will sign a contract that is similar to the one that DAAD is signing with the German university. But it is then the German university that has to make sure that all the rules are being adhered to. So towards DAAD, we only talk to the German partner, to the German university, but parts and certain amounts of the money can, if it makes sense and if it is, if it's logical for funds to be spent in a partner country in Tunisia or Morocco, wherever, then funding can also be transferred to a certain degree to partners in your home university.
Okay, then we have here if we have a Moroccan or Algerian partner, is it helpful for a consistent cooperation?
This is more or less, if I understand this correctly, in line with what I've said earlier, is yes, we do welcome participation from partners from other countries. If you can explain to us why this makes sense in this particular partnership, if you have collaborated with them earlier in what kind of project, in what kind of activity, in a conference, in a paper, in a whatever it is, and how they bring a benefit to the partnership. But generally speaking, yes, helpful and welcomed.
Mm-hmm. Is there a ceiling for the grants?
Yes, as I've said earlier, in the short-term measures, it's a maximum of 40,000 euro total for maximum of 1 year. There's no activity that can span for 2 years. It's to give you an idea, We had a call, or we have a call for applications right here, right now, in October. Deadline end of November. Funding starts 1st of January, and activities can spend for a maximum of 12 months, maximum of 40,000 euros. There will be a second call throughout 2023, and then those partnerships will have only, in quotation marks, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 months to implement whatever it is that they wish to implement, and again, maximum of 40,000 euro. In the scientific collaborations and the networks, it's a maximum of 125,000 per year. Since we provide funding for 3 years, it's a maximum of 375 for 3 years if multiple partners are included. It's 125 per year only if there's more than 2 partners. So if there's 3 or 4 or 5, it can be 125 because we understand there's an additional cost to including more partners. If it's only, so to speak, 1 German and 1 Tunisian university, it's 100,000 per year.
Okay, then a question from Ahmed with respect to non-university actors. I have a partner from the Fraunhofer Institute of Biotechnology. Is this okay? Besides, is involving a startup okay?
Both is perfect.
I'm looking for more questions. Please scroll down. Is this? Okay, then can there be more than 1 partner participating at the same call?
I don't know if I understand that question. If it's in the field that we've discussed earlier, that there can be more than only 1 or 2 or 3 partners, then of course, if it means that, or if the question is if 1 partner can hand in multiple applications with multiple partners, that is of course also possible, but we will look into that when we have the selection meeting, and since funding is limited, of course, we will try to fund as many different projects and different partners as possible.
Okay, so maybe Fauzi can precise the question more if he means other thing. Besides that, we have here a question from Amar. What are the area of research that can be supported by this project? I think you have already mentioned this, Felix. And then the next question from him, and how submitted projects are evaluated?
Okay, there's different spheres of evaluation once an application has found its way to DAAD. One of them is, of course, and I might be missing 1 or 2 details here, and if colleagues of mine can support, I'll be thankful. But to give you an idea of what we'll be looking at, number 1 is this is a decision that is not being made by my unit and my colleagues here. We are, let's say, more the managers of the process. Decisions will be made by a selection committee, an independent selection committee of professors, of university professors, who will be given all of the application that we received and who will be evaluating each and every proposal along, the same list of points that they have been asked to look at. One of them is, of course, is this scientifically sound? Does it make sense? What is being proposed here? Number 2 is, has there been an involvement of partners, or is it solely German initiative, for example? Another thing is, the costs and the ideas of how money will be spent in this project. Does that make sense to us? But give me a second and I will look that up again. Details. Well, criteria. I will not start over, but add. Number 1 is the project, apart from being scientifically sound, is it in line with the objectives of the program? Number 2, as I've said, is the financial plan sound and do the different positions make sense? Number 3, the academic quality, as I've said. Number 4, for example, is there a contribution to initiating, to intensifying, to expanding collaboration that is again is to be seen in relation to the objectives of the particular program, and will there be increased or extended competencies of students? These are some examples of the call for applications for the short-term measures that's just been put out, and those will again vary depending on what program you're handing an application in. With the networks, of course, the question will be: is there a contribution to communication management or to scientific communication into society? With the scientific collaborations, there will be the question of: is there a contribution to strengthening or increasing the quality of research, teaching, and higher education management? And with the short-term measures, the focus will be on: is there a contribution to the initiation, the expansion of partnerships, etc. So that will differ from program to program, but generally speaking, it's scientific quality. Is it financially sound, and is it contributing to the objectives of the program? That was a lengthy answer, sorry.
Okay, next question. Is there a limit for the duration of stays?
I'm passing here. It can be, I'm not sure right now. Those are the sort of details that I'm not 100% sure, and I wish to not make a statement here that is not 100% secure. Look into the details, or if there's colleagues who want to jump in, please do so. If not, we'll
we can continue with the
approach me. We can continue with you with further questions, but also my contact details are on the slides on the presentation that you will receive, and on the summary that you have received.
Okay, regarding contact details, we have here the question: where could the attendees, who could they contact if there are further questions, if they need more information?
A presentation will be made available, and all, if not most of you, if not all of you, have received the summary of the TAAD program lines, and last information on that summary is my contact details. You know what? I'll put them in the chat.
Already done.
Already done.
Already.
All right. Thank you.
Written your email address. So I have here a question regarding line 3. Can be the project based on research activities generating results A&D in second phase, their dissemination, communication by involving NGOs and civil society?
Answer to all of those questions, yes.
Then thank you for the clarification. Is it necessary to have a registration at German universities to participate in this program? Finance doctoral studies.
Maybe I'm a bit lost here. I don't know who needs a registration at a German university. For students to participate in exchange activities, then yes, they need to be students at that particular university that is participating in the cooperation. If that is the question, that is my answer. If it needs to be clarified, please do so.
Yes, it's regarding doctoral candidates.
Yeah, doctoral candidates should be registered at one of the partners, obviously, at the German university, at the Tunisian university, or if, for example, a non-university Tunisian research center is participating as a partner in the partnership, then being a doctoral student at that institution will also be sufficient.
Okay, maybe a last question. Can we have another deadline until we find a German partner? So is there possibility to have an extension?
No.
Okay, good. I think we have tried to answer maximum of questions. If there's something missing, then you can send us an email. You can send an email to Felix. You can send an email also to our office. You normally have our contact details. And I would like to hand over to Renate now to close the session.
Okay, thank you so much, Sacha and Felix, and this is an easy task to close the session. So I'm grateful to everybody who has supported us this morning and who has been with us this morning. I guess that you have some more questions that come up or that evolved during the conversation with your potential partners, so please don't hesitate to contact us. You have all the contact details in the invitation and also here in the chat. You may, of course, contact us here at the DAAD Tunis office or contact directly our colleagues in Bonn who know who know much better about all the financial details and the administrative details of the program. These are things that we usually cannot answer, and this is what Felix has just pointed out. There are many details that are at the moment only available in German, but will be in due time also be available in English, and your German partners or potential partners will of course be able to communicate in the meantime. So what is left then? I wish you really the best of success for all your plans. I hope to see as many applications from your side as possible. Yeah, and all the best for you, and see you soon again, hopefully. Goodbye from my side.